is now 2 days, 2.5 days, 3 days when you see this, since the London Card Show ExCeL 2026 has shut its doors, and I'm still trying to process everything that happened from it, but I just I don't really know why, but there was so much in my head after that I thought it'd be good to sit here and really just go through all of that and to really just start a discussion on where we think the hobby is kind of going, because this event was probably the most in-your-face example of how the hobby has grown in such a short space of time and what the potential of it could be. And I just wanted to talk about it with you because I remember my first ever card show and it was nothing like this. And my first ever card show was the LCS and it wasn't like this one. So I just wanted to engage in a quick conversation, jump in here with you guys, and that's why I want you to subscribe if you can. I want to do more breakdown videos like this, kind of in the hobby world. It's not just about cards, but Hobby FC is built for a community of football fans trying to be collectors. So whether that is cards or stickers or Subbuteo figures or shirts or even the intangible stuff, the travel, the food and drink, like this is the place for all of that. And it's all starts with the community. So I definitely want to build this out as big as I can. All the socials are in the descriptions if you want to take a look at that, but loads of content coming your way on this channel, so please do subscribe. If you enjoy this video and if you enjoy this conversation, then please subscribe and share it around to people who you think might benefit from it as well, because that's what it's all about. And like I say, the London Card Show that I first went to was at Sandown Racecourse, and I remember getting there and I was overawed by the whole thing because that was my first entry into card show. So I hadn't known what to expect. All I really did was, starting in from COVID, I just typed in football card PSA on YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. So I'd you know what I mean? So I bought a couple, didn't really know what was a good price, what a bad price. I was the clear fan or early collector, right? I'm not dealer, I'm not flipper, any of that. I just bought some stuff and I've still got them all. I just like keeping them. So it was just to really dip my toe in the water and to talk to people. And I remember coming away from that and just thinking, God, everyone's nice. Like, as soon as I said who I was or what I was doing, like, no one looked down on it. No one looked down on because I had no education in the area. They wanted to teach me. And even from that very first show, I've made friends that are still friends to this day. No need to even go through the list because I'll definitely miss one of them. But you know who you are, who have supported me, who have supported the Hobby FC in general, but who have just been absolutely amazing since that first show. And seeing how it's grown, like, these people are still around, they're still big players in the pond, but it's grown so massively in that short space of time, from 2 to 3 years ago to what it is now. And on the Hobby FC show, which, yes, and I moved out of London, so it's hard to sit down and do these interview styles, but I could maybe do something here, we'll see. But I remember sitting down with Harry in the very first episode of the Hobby FC show, and I said to him, like, what are your plans for the ExCeL? I think we're about a year out from it at the time, and he says this is going to be a show like no other in the UK, in Europe. And I think statistically, I mean, he's right. And frankly, being there, it lived up to those expectations. Like him, Lucy, Katie, James, like the whole team absolutely smashed it. And that is, from the amount of guests that were there, the amount of visitors that were there, the quality of the stock, the venue size, the location, everything just worked. Everything absolutely just worked. And I was very lucky that Harry wanted me to be one of the presenters of the show. It was me and a TCG presenter, so I presented all sports. So I got to be on stage and have a lovely little chinwag with Michael Owen, with Joe Cole. And a special mention to those because, they'd not known me and they'd given me a lot of their time, and they were really easy to talk to. And being on main stage and talking to a completely different crowd when there's so much going on, like, not everyone was silent sitting there, like you would in a studio. So they were really cool, and they were really generous with their time. But also, I got to give a little shout out to the TCG side for a man called Dan Green. Like, I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy. I absolutely adore Yu-Gi-Oh, and I just went up to him as his booth was a bit quieter, and I just said, listen, like, you and Yu-Gi-Oh, like, it made my childhood. I've said this before on loads of videos, but I was a very introverted kid, and I didn't know, like, how to really talk to people. And doing this or being on stage would never have happened to that kid. That would never happen. So I went over to him and I explained all this, and he just went, it's time to duel. And he just fully went for it. And I was like, it still gives me like chills thinking about it. So shout out to Dan. and also to Michael Owen. We met Jim Cummings as well, big Winnie the Pooh fan here. So yeah, it was really cool. And I think, coming out of that show, first of all, I was exhausted. It was a long show. It was a full 3 days, but exhausted in the best possible way, because coming away from it, I could see, and for so long, I'd almost said to everybody, like, the UK hasn't cottoned on to how big this industry is. And I mean, the UK public hasn't really cottoned on to that fact. But this show shows that, okay, we're starting to get it now. Because our big sport is football, and football isn't even the most collected thing in the world. And that just shows that the US market, with their general stance on collecting and their collectibles nature, they're the ones that are ahead of the curve. Like, I'd say baseball cards, NFL cards, basketball cards, some of them, in terms of relative to the prestige of the player or to the actual piece, their prices are relatively higher than what football has been, although we're starting to see a shift in that, and the World Cup will definitely, put it back in the almost the right balance if you think of relativity. But I do think that the UK has cottoned on, or is starting to cotton on based on what I saw at the show, but mainly from a financial and investment perspective. Like, that's not an LCS issue at all. It's not really a card show issue. It's just human nature. It's just, the market economy. But I would love what LCS did in terms of, like, they still had the kids zone. No matter how big it got, still had the kids zone, still had the free trade zone, still had, I think they went on to their sponsors and encouraged them to give stuff away to kids and to do all stuff. They had Risk It or Keep It on the last day. They had this massive, like, bus where you could just game for free. They had, like, their retro gaming center where if you got your ticket, you could just chill out there. And I really like that, because it wasn't just always deals. Like, if you don't buy, you're not allowed to come. That's kind of the idea. Some people might get at a show if you've not been to one, but this ain't like that. And shows aren't like that. But this is the biggest one that you think, with the overhead costs and stuff, that maybe they'd want to encourage that. No, if you just wanted to come in and not buy anything, you're more than welcome to. You could just soak it up and learn. If anything, I know I was presenting it at certain points, but I didn't buy anything, because it just wasn't really right for me. And I'll kind of get on to why, and this is kind of one of the main takeaways why I wanted to make the video. But, the ranges from 2 years ago in terms of the kind of lower end cards or the low to mid end cards, I think have just completely disappeared, and they've completely inflated. Again, this is not an XL London card show issue. This is just something that this show kind of put into perspective for me, because I remember I used to go into, like, any card show, old LCSs or any card shows, and I used to be able to get, like, some cute, like, cool patch cards, or some, I'm an Obsidian fan, get some Obsidians or get some old school cards, and they'd be, like, pretty fair. You can get a patch auto for, like, £5 or £6. Not the best players in the world, but you can still get them and they're cool and you can keep them. Or if you wanted to flip them to kind of get you started in the area, then great, that was a lower entry point. And with complete, full transparency and honesty, that's what I was doing. I used to go there and think, I'd love to get a £5 card and flip it to a £10 and try and find those sort of situations. And that's what I did for a decent amount of time. I didn't make a crazy amount of money on it. I think I made £1,000 in about 3 months, which is cool. It's a nice little side hustle, but, it's not going to pay many bills, is it? But I remember doing that, and I think, okay, that's really cool. And then over time, leading up to the show, I went to more and more shows, and there were fewer and fewer things that I was taking away for that flipping purpose. So, that's not to say, just because it's not good for flippers or resellers or whatever, that you shouldn't go to shows. It's the complete opposite of what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is, I then also have PCs, Ruud van Nistelrooy's mine, Diego Forlan, or Johan Cruyff, or the Galacticos, Real Madrid, or AC Milan. I get their big names, but I would love to just go there and find some cool cards that aren't hundreds and 200s and 300s of pounds. I don't need that. Yes, I am a content creator in different areas and trying to build this, but also I'm still a collector at heart. So I'm very happy going to a whole show and finding one Ruud van Nistelrooy card for £2 or £3, but it's one that I've never seen and one that I've never had. I want that for my PC. So there's that. And yes, of course, if there's a immaculate Ruud, like number to 10 auto on card, that's like £300, that's really cool too. But I don't have that type of money to be spending on cards. I don't have that type of money in general. Like, some creators might. I'm not one of them. I go to these shows because I'm a collector. And what I sort of noticed as well is the overall conversation has started to shift a little bit. And I don't know this is what I want you to get in the comments. I don't know if this happened to you, but this is my own personal experience. But I used to go to shows and be like, I'm a big Rue Van Nistelrooy collector, and they could have a few different options, or they'd be like, oh yeah, mate, like, go over to that guy and that'll happen. And we still have that sort of camaraderie between the community, like I say. But now it's almost like I'd go there to someone who's got all their stuff laid out in a display where it doesn't have prices on, and I'm just like, right, well, I'm not going to go there, because then it just leads to an awkward conversation, and that's, I don't want that. I don't have a lot of money to spend, so I just kind of stay clear if they don't have prices on. But then I'll be like, oh yeah, Rude's my guy. They'll be like, oh, I did have the Immaculate, the Impeccable to number to 10, and it went for 300 quid, but next time I get one, I'll let you know. And I'm like, I don't want to spend 150, 200 pounds on it. Like this, do you know what I mean? Like, I get that's what they go for, but where's the rest? Why is it only that? Why is that the conversation? Like, and I do get it. I do get it, because there are fair reasons for all of these things, for dealers to focus on the higher end cards, or for people to focus on the higher end cards, because it is a great hobby and there is great upside if you were to, get in at certain areas. But also, there are knock-on costs of everything. The cost of living's going higher, so naturally, if it's your business, you want to focus on the higher end things. Obviously, I totally get that. But not just that, the knock-on effects of actually being at shows. Like, tables have gotten more expensive and venues have gotten more expensive, and it's getting harder to keep those overheads generally down. And you still got to pay yourself, you know what I mean? Like, if this is your full-time gig, you still got to pay yourself. And if you're not focusing on content or other sources of income, if this is your only source, then you want to maximize it. I totally get that. Also, the general cost of boxes are stupid at the minute. And yeah, you can get a mega box or you can get this, but even then the payoff's not great. I saw EPL mega boxes from last season going for like 50 quid. You think, oh, for like 60 odd cards, that's great. But then when you think your only chances to get a numbered card out of it, if you're just collecting, then are you getting an ROI out of that? Probably not. But if you're trying to actually flip or do anything, then you're not going to go for that. So you sort of have an abundance of these things which aren't even suitable to the collectors first coming in. And then you have a scarcity of the other things because everybody wants them. And I'm not going to go into what, some of the big issues that are going on in terms of like controversies around allocation, all that, because frankly, I don't know enough. And the whole point of this channel, the whole point of this show, or even the brand of Hobby FC, the community I want to build, is that I want to learn these things. I'm going in blind in a lot of areas, and only when I know certain things will I be sat here telling you. But I want to hear from other people and learn along with you. That's kind of the point. So I'm not going to talk about that. But I can say there is a reduced payoff for these boxes now. And World Cup fever is completely on the rise. And also, there's a huge rise in social content. And this is something I can talk about because I get this a lot. I saw loads of influencers at the show. Great to see. Absolutely amazing to see. That are also making content off of it. And there's always going to be that payoff when you're an influencer or a content creator where people will say, oh, you're only doing it because there's a tax write-off. You're only doing it because of this. And it's so hard as soon as people say you're a content creator, you're an influencer, whatever, for you to appear genuine because people think you're there for disingenuous intentions. I've just told you why I go to shows and why I do it. And that's what I will continue to do. But then if I also started developing a content strand where I can go to shows, make money off the content in terms of ad revenue or whatever, then it's just going to be a constant feeding machine. But then I don't want people to then look at maybe towards the end of this process, if we do start doing that, and say, oh, he's only going for the £1,000 box, he's only going for this. Well, it's a constant mechanism. Like, making social media content is a mechanism. Like, it is a job. It is what I do full time, what I'm very blessed to do full time, and what loads of people are blessed to do full time, what people want to do. But, as soon as you start making money from it, people think it's disingenuous and all this because you forgot where you come from. Well, you're never going to please those people. But at the same time, you do get people who are influencers in a different area that suddenly come into cards for whatever reason and then are spending loads of money. Is that helpful? It's a market economy. They're entering at a different point in it. And it's almost as if people look at these influencers, look at these creators and say, the only way to collect is that way. That's not the only way to collect. And really, these creators are, and myself, have been dealers at times. Like, I want to make money on certain cards, or they want to do that to flip them and to then put that money into what they want to do for content, what they want to do with other cards. But don't let the perception get warped. Don't let just the fact that influencer can come in, like these big names can come in and they're just here to make a quick buck. Some are, all right? Some are, and you can tell, right? And it's just human nature. Some want to make a quick buck, and I get that. Others are there for the love of the game and they want to be involved in it. Like, I saw loads that were just there and kind of just keeping their head down, buying some stuff, showing some love to the people and leaving. Cool. I love that. That doesn't mean you only have to. Do you see how it gets awkward? This doesn't mean you just have to do that in order for people to think you're genuine. You should be allowed to be who you are and what you are, as long as your messaging is very, very clear. And there's so many, I could name so many different creators that I follow in the card space where I'm thinking you're doing it for me. You're doing it for people who want to understand how to get into cards, and you're by proxy of being in there and being who you are, you're showing us this world, but you're letting us make our own decisions. And I met at this show, in my opinion, this is no shade to any, I mean, I'm a creator in this space. There's no shade to any creator in this space, but for me, the best one, my favorite one, I should say, is Trike and Trike Plus Cards, Troy. Absolute gentleman and so easy, so down to earth, so nice to speak to, so transparent. And I watch him all the time. His link's going to be in the description. For anyone watching this that goes on to him, please show some love, because I think he is the best in the space for me, right? And the quality of his content shines through everything, but also he's not just looking at this. He's looking at everything. And all I'm saying is this is existing and getting bigger and bigger. I feel like this part in sort of the lower to mid end, and definitely with the lower range, that's getting forgotten a bit. And that's what's kind of, it's not concerning me, because again, it's a big show, big people, loads of stuff going, and you can go to other shows and find different areas of it. Totally understand that. I think it's only a matter of time though before that drip feeds into other areas. And look, what I would love to see, and what you do see a lot of, to be fair, like from the bigger corporations, I would love to see there be a bit more of, and I know I'm coming at this from a sports perspective. I don't really know much about the TCG world, so I'm only, like, Hobby FC is pure football, so this is the perspective I'm coming at it from. But I would love to see some of the bigger players, however they look, whoever they are, to address this part, because that is always going to be there. It's always going to invite more people. You're seeing now Lewis Hamilton is going to set up his own card shops. You saw Tom Brady, he's done it. Big companies are being set up by big investors, and it's always going to be there. That's not going anywhere. That's going to get bigger. It's going to attract different people. It's going to stay there. This is almost moving there, and you're leaving even a greater chasm for the rest. And that's what I don't want. That's what I'm a little bit fearful of, if I'm honest. Because I want to, and I saw this at shows, you know, and not just this one, but I saw this at loads of other shows, where you just see like either a mum or dad who doesn't know too much about the space and wants to get a nice card and wants to get a nice looking one at least. Like, you want to get a decent auto of a decent player for like 10 to 20 quid. And I saw an Ollie Watkins numbered to 199 chrome auto that was even dinged at the top. That was going for £40. And I know that's one seller, but I saw loads of that stuff. Not just at this show, but at others. So I'm thinking, okay, can we somehow get to a point where we can almost like bring that gap down a little bit, so that people like who bring kids or young collectors who know little about the space aren't blowing a, let's say, £100 budget on 2 cards that are okay, but are blowing it on like 3 cards that are really good, or, you know, relative to what they're looking for in their personal collection, but also they could get loads of stock just to build out a nice collection for themselves. Because, I mean, with respect, like, value boxes now are gone. I'm not seeing them anymore. I'm not seeing value in the value boxes anymore. Like I say, you used to be able to look at and get like patches and get stuff that weren't crazy, but you can get it for like 5-10 quid each. But they're now going into the display cases, and it's all moving. But now I'm seeing they're full of match attacks and stuff, and yeah, that's cool. You can go down Sainsbury's and get some match attacks. Like, card shows are supposed to be special for that reason, and I hope that we can sort of try and move the conversation along, because there are different spectrums of people that go to these shows. You have fans, you have collectors, you have dealers, you have flippers, and you have conglomerates, and you have empires. You have all these different things. So I do hope that we start to, you know, it's not on every seller to be like, right, we're going to cater to everybody because they're in their lane and they're happy there. That's not down to that. But I do hope is that we do tend to see some of the bigger players maybe try and even out the playing field. Because I always think this, right? Like I say, I'm not in the position to do this. Maybe one day I will be. Touch wood, you know, who knows what life has in store. But if I had loads of money, right, and buying just as an example, like a palatial box, doesn't really make a dent. There's people who are at the show where it wouldn't make a dent for them. I'd buy one for myself. I'd give another one away. Because why not? Because I would like to just see, young collectors, let them have that feel for it. And that's not for me to try and regulate the economy on it. But I'd also like to think if I owned a massive supermarket, I would, reduce loads of things that aren't really going to impact my profit margins. I'd like to think if I owned a restaurant, exactly the same. If I had a record-breaking month, I'd celebrate it with having a whole day of half price. And I liken this whole thing, again, it's Hobby FC, it's about football. I don't know why I just went off in that tangent, but I tend to do that. But I would like to say that Hobby FC is built for the community. And community is the one word that I use when I talk about shows and everything. When you look at a good show, a great show is the ones that prioritize the community above all else, which is why I loved seeing these guests. I loved seeing the retro gaming, the kids zones, the free areas, the giveaways. I love seeing all of that. That doesn't mean that's all it has to be, but I love seeing that because you haven't forgotten that. And that's what I think the LCS was brilliant at doing. And I've told them this. And at the same time, the analogy that I can use in a football perspective is like it's like football fans. We all get annoyed when our football clubs cater more towards the hospitality end and the high-end tickets rather than forgetting about the people who make the community what it is or make the club what it is. So I want to see, moving forward, because we're going to have a big boom now with the World Cup, and I understand that. I would love to see a little bit more of the bigger players either trying to improve the education around the sort of lower end or what the payoff is at the higher end, rather than just giving them loads of information, overloading them with it, letting the prices speak for themselves, and kind of forming a barrier to entry into this market. I would like to see the conversation move a little bit more towards, all right, I'm a fan, I'm a collector, I want to do this, how can I get in there for myself? What sort of resources, what sort of areas can I get in there that make it worthwhile for me to actually start or continue my journey? That is a long-winded way, really, of saying the London Card Show is the best card show I've ever been to. Although it's absolutely fantastic. The people, the community is alive and kicking. It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get bigger. And I just hope that as a community that we can also remember what we're in there for, what we're collecting for, what collecting is about. And, this isn't, again, on the show to, like to say that they didn't do this, because actually I think they went out of the way to do it, and which is why I was so proud to be a part of it. And I'm so thankful to Harry, to all the team for doing that. And I'm so proud to be a part of any other show that either invites me or that I go to. And again, I make these connections, talk to people. And I just think this is just the one thing that came out of the show for me, that I hope that we can, create a bit more either content or awareness about what this space really is about, and not let it become a market economy for the elite who just wants another plaything. Like, I get that is there, but don't let it affect everyone. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I think about the London Card Show. That's some of my big takeaways, and ultimately it was amazing to see, almost like an American level show in terms of the size and in terms of the amount of people there and the amount of excitement buzzing in the air. In the UK, it was actually really nice to see that. It was so nice to see so many of them come over, which was amazing. But, like I say, the Hobby FC is built, to educate, to entertain, and to do all of these things. And I hope you took some sort of, knowledge out of this, or maybe you think a different way to me. Then I want to hear that too. I'm not saying all of this as if I'm right. I've only been in the space for 2 to 3 years, really. So I could be well off of it. And I want to learn. That's kind of the whole point. So get in the comments. Let me know what you think about what I've said. Subscribe, of course, if you're new. And the content is coming your way thick and fast. It's not just about cards. I will be going to shirt fairs. I'll be going to food and drinks places. I'll be going to stadiums, traveling all over to meet people and learn and do all these things. So a lot more is coming your way. Please do subscribe for more of that. All of the socials are in the in the description of the video. And yeah, see you at the next show. What's my next one? Might be going to the Midlands, back home. Yeah, I'll let you know. Follow the socials and you'll find out.